What's going on, y'all? Machiavelli Mills TV. So I got a serious question for all basketball fans, NBA watchers. I'm watching Boogie Cousins on a podcast. I don't know if it's his podcast or if he's a guest on a podcast. I really didn't do too much research to see whose podcast it really is. It might be Boogie's podcast. And he's speaking about if is Chris Paul a top 5 point guard? Is he? Right? And he says no. And I'm sitting here and I'm like, bro, Chris Paul really is not a top 5 point guard in my opinion. Now, this is just my opinion. You might have him in yours, but in my opinion, I don't think he is. Right? Here's my list. Number 1, Magic Johnson, the great Urban Magic Johnson. 2, Chicago's own Isaiah Thomas. 3, Steph Curry, right? Chef Curry with the shot. Number 4, John Stockton. Number 5, Jason Kidd, and Chris Paul is number 6, right? So I got Chris Paul 6. I don't got him top 5. Some of y'all gonna think it's blasphemous because Chris Paul has been he's been named the point god. And while Chris is an exemplary point guard, I'm talking about first ballot Hall of Famer without question, I think those other men that I named were better overall point guards. They ran their shit better and were better winners. They were better winners than Chris. Just being honest, man. Number 1, Magic Johnson speaks for itself. Magic got 5 chips, brother. Like, you can't, how you gonna compete with that? Like, 6'9" point guard, first big point guard doing it like that. All the damn no-look passes, behind the back, all the crazy flashy passes. Magic was pulling that off. Isaiah Thomas. Now, again, Isaiah to me was always the second best point guard outside of Magic Johnson. I even got him before Steph, even though Steph got more rings than him. Isaiah Thomas got 2 rings, right? But Isaiah won a championship. He beat Jordan Bulls. He beat the Boston Celtics, and he beat the LA Lakers, Magic Johnson and them. He ran through them teams and beat them in his championship runs. Who done that? You gotta salute that. Zeke, that's a major feat. Zeke also won back-to-back championships without having one top 75 player on his team. He didn't have another top 50, top 75 guy on his squad when he won them chips. Lambeer, Joe Dumars, Dennis Rodman, while those are great players, Dennis is a great player. Certain guys were great teammates, very good players. Nah, bro. Mark Aguirre, Chicago's own, nah, bro. He didn't have that top 75 guy that other teams had. Rick Mahorn, no. So you got to take that into account. He wasn't rolling with Magic. You know, he had Cap, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, had Big Game James Worthy. You had, I got, again, 3. Number 3 is Steph Curry. Steph was playing along one of the other greatest shooters of all time, Klay Thompson. Then goddamn Kevin Durant to get back-to-back chips. Right? Like, come on, bro. Although Steph is an all-time great, again, Zeke. I got to put Isaiah over Zeke because, Isaiah over Zeke. I got to put Isaiah over Steph because Zeke was doing it without that type of arsenal, without that type of firepower on his squad. He had the same firepower Magic Johnson and Steph had. Now, Steph, of course, is number 3. Only unanimous MVP ever. Back-to-back MVP. Was a part of a 72-10 team, and they didn't win the championship. They lost the damn 3-1 lead. But Steph got 4 championships. 4 championships. NBA Finals MVP. Salute. You got to salute the brother. John Stockton. John Stockton got 15,000 assists. Almost 16,000 assists, brother. How the hell? Who the fuck gonna pass that record? I don't see nobody ever passing that record, bro. Unless you play until you got down, 40-something, and you gotta have a dude on your squad like Karl Malone. For as much as we hate Karl Malone, most people do not like Karl Malone for a lot of reasons. Type of shit he did in his personal life that was foul. Even from impregnating a 13-year-old girl when he was 20 to not claiming his kids, not wanting to be a part of their life, telling them basically to carry on without him because they wasn't there in the first place. Just Karl got a lot of foul shit on his name and just just crazy character in general. But he was a guy who was putting the ball in the bucket to help John Stockton get them 15,000, almost 16,000 assists. A dude number one in assists like that, you got to put him at top 5 point guard. He number 4. Number 5 for me, again, Jason Kidd. J. Kidd is second in assists. NBA champion, something Chris Paul never done, even though J. Kidd was older at the time when he won the chip with Dallas. Always been a defensive guy, a defensive threat. Like Chris, always been a defensive threat. Led team to finals before that. In New Jersey. You know, with Kerry Kittles, Richard Jefferson, Kenyon Martin at the helm. J. Kidd was running that show and running that show well. I got to give it to J. Kidd. Chris, I got Chris at 6. He third in assists. Been to 1 NBA finals. Really couldn't make no noise with the Clippers. Could never get past the second round. Was injured for certain key moments that when they were trying to make runs. He fell short in his big moment, but he's still third in assists, and he still is a great point guard, put up great stats, but he don't got no league MVP like Steph got. He don't got no league MVP. He was excuse me. Chris played with better players than Zeke has, for sure. Teams that people were expecting to make noise, his teams underperformed. They were underwhelming at times. The Clippers teams are very underwhelming. So I got to put Chris at 6. All of that stuff matters. Even though he third in assists, he got a high number of assists, so on and so forth. It's like, nah, bro. Like, I have to take into account your body of work. So I got to have you at 6. Like, the time he went up, the time he went to the finals, they went up 2-0 and let Giannis win 4 straight games on them. 4 straight. Hey, I know he's just a PG, but that's an important position. He supposed to figure that out and stop the bleeding and stop the onslaught, even though he ain't the coach. He supposed to try to control the tempo of their game to get them back in good favor. Find your guys high percentage shots to make and hit. Chris. It's times he's underperformed. They've been on underperforming teams, underwhelming teams, time and time again. So I feel like those other 5 guards were better and had more impactful moments within their careers. When it's all said and done, I feel like Chris is gonna have better stats in certain areas. But them other guys, man, I just feel like this was big time, bro. Big time. You know, from Isaiah, Zeke, Steph, John Stockton, Jason Kidd, like, you gotta give it to the brother. I just think, again, John Stockton got 15,000 assists. You gotta stuff he does, the records he's broken. That record, I don't think that record's ever going to be broken. I don't see it happening. If it does, I mean, hey, excellent. I mean, some of us never thought the scoring record was ever going to be broken, but LeBron James is look like LeBron James is going to break that scoring record and be the number 1 all-time leading scorer in NBA history without being a shoot-first guy, without being being looked at as a natural-born scorer the way a Kevin Durant is, or even a Steph Curry is, or James Harden. Bron ain't never been looked at in that ilk as a natural-born, effortless scorer, but the brother going to finish number 1 all time. So, like I would put, again, LeBron got to be number 2 on people's list, at least to me. A guy like John Stockton, you got number 1 assist, got to be in there in the mix, top 5. So I don't think Chris Paul is a top 5 point guard. Now, again, we never know what's going to happen going forward, but I think Phoenix window closed for them to really try to win a championship and make that run. They were supposed to win that year when they got to the finals, when other guys were injured. Luck was on their side in certain situations, in certain matchups. Kawhi was hurt. AD got hurt. They ended up going to the finals. They were supposed to maximize on it and win and get Chris Paul the coveted championship, the one he's been trying to chase for the longest. Get him the chip. They lost that, let Giannis become a goon, a dog before their eyes, and put up their 50-piece chicken nugget special, extra crispy on them boys' head. It was over with, man. And I don't think they're going to recover from that. Like, I think their flame has burned out, in my opinion. They can prove me wrong, but yeah. So I think Chris has missed his moment to be considered like a top 5 guy with winning the chip. and being a guy in the ship, not just being one of the guys. Now, Book gonna be the guy if they ever win with this roster as formed. But Chris can be one of the guys, one of the main important cogs, the main centerpiece of everything he could be. You know, and that counts more for your top 5 resume, your top 5 spot when we trying to consider you in that fold or in that mix. So yeah, Chris is not a top 10 point guard to me. I mean, excuse me, a top 5 point. He's not a top 5 point guard. He's a top 10. He's number 6. He not top 5 to me. Y'all let me know what y'all think. And this is not because I got a bias, or not bias, or I don't like certain shit Chris does or certain things he says on the floor. I think he talk a whole lot of crazy talk, a lot of shit. But he tries to act like he never did anything wrong. He could never ever do anything wrong because he is the former president of the Players Association. He's the ultimate good guy, nice guy. He wouldn't do anything wrong ever. He does dirty stuff and foul stuff and act like he don't know what's going on. I don't like that about Chris. But with that being said, that had no effect on his list at all. Chris, I still recognize him as a point guard, one of the point guards. He is number 6, bro. He ain't top 5. That's why I say he's one of the point guards. He's not the ultimate point guard. No. That would be Magic Johnson, followed by Isaiah Thomas, followed by Steph Curry, followed by John Stockton, followed by Jason Kidd. Right? So, like I said, Jason Kidd is number 2 in assists. Chris Paul is number 3 in assists. So, I got 1 through 5. I just named it all off. Machiavelli Mills TV, I'm out. Peace.